Well, it's Tuesday the 11th of June. We're just leaving Holy Loch now on a passage towards Portavadie. We've had pretty horrendous weather for the last week, 8 days actually. We've been back in the boat for 8 days and it's just been absolutely terrible. Very, very strong winds, gusting up to almost 40 knots, torrential rain at times, squalls. And very, very cold as well. I think the Eberspacher heater has been on more than it's been off actually. But it's a fine day today, it's brightened up, and in fact it's gone the other way. There isn't a great deal of wind, there's only about 8 knots of wind as we're motoring away from Holy Loch Marina. So hopefully there's a little bit more when we get into the top of the Clyde and get the sails out, give us a push down the Clyde. So that's it, that's the plan, and we'll see if we get to Portavadie. Well, it's just been a motor sail down the Clyde today, 7 knots of wind, right on the nose, and a chilly wind at that. It's pretty cold, quite overcast at the moment. We're nearly down to Toward Point, so we'll be turning into the Kyles, I think. We may anchor up for lunch. We are a little bit early, I suppose. We need to go through the burnt tiles around about 2:45. It's the time when the tide turns, or maybe just a little bit before that. So that's the plan. Just as we approached the ferry, it of course came out of its berth straight in front of us, so we had to give way and go around its stern. On the previous 2 occasions going through the burnt isles, we have taken the northern passage, so we decided this time to shake it up a little and take the southern passage, which is a lot longer and has slightly trickier pilotage. Once we exited the West Kyle and turned into Loch Fyne, the wind was on the nose and it was a bit of a slog up to Portavadie, so we were glad to get in. We moored starboard side 2 to the long visitors pontoon, then explored the fantastic facilities which were on offer. There was a bar, a cafe and an excellent restaurant, along with a swimming pool, spa facilities and excellent showers and laundry facilities. We decided to stay for a couple of days and just relax. It's Friday the 14th of June. We're just leaving Portavadie because we've run out of food. Beautiful shop here, as long as you want to buy expensive clothes or nice trinkets, but they don't really have much in the way of bread and milk, so we're going to go across to Tarbert to stock up at the co-op. We've been sat here for a couple of days to allow the strong winds to pass, and It's not too bad today. It's just started to blow up a little bit now, maybe 4 to 5, but it's only half an hour across to Tarbert, so we just have to get wet for a while. There we go.
As we entered Tarbert, a flock of oyster catchers gave us a really noisy welcome. We really enjoy bringing Magic Hawk into Tarbert, as it's one of our favourite marinas in the area. We had a knock on the hull from Steve, the owner of this beautiful Nauticat, as he watches our videos. I think his wife's name was Barbara, but apologies if I got that wrong.
It's Monday the 17th of June and it's around about 10 to 11 in the morning. We're just leaving Tarbert, where we've been for the last couple of days, enjoying some very nice weather actually. We are going to go further up Loch Fyne today, probably towards Otter Ferry. We'll see what time we get there. We may carry on a little bit and go and explore somewhere else, but that's the plan at the moment.
One thing we have learnt about these long, relatively narrow lochs like Loch Fyne is that if you are going north and the wind has a component of north in it, then it's most likely to be on the nose. It's quite possible to tack back and forward and eventually get to your destination, but in reality, if you want to really get there in a reasonable time, you either have to motor or motor sail. We picked up a mooring for lunch at Otter Ferry. However, the wind was out of the northwest and it was quite exposed, so it was a little uncomfortable to sit there in the choppy water.
It's 3:05 in the afternoon now. We've just had a lunch stop across at Otter Ferry. It was quite blowy over there really and quite exposed, but it was okay. It gave us a rest for an hour or so. We decided to just motor across the loch here, a couple of miles to Loch Gare. Loch Gare is supposed to be quite a sheltered sort of round pool type of a loch, so we'll see if we can anchor in there and maybe have a quieter night.
For some strange reason, and for the rest of this video, I keep referring to Loch Gare as Loch Gire. Apologies for the recurring senior moment. There is an excellent landmark that marks the entrance into Loch Gare, and that's a white towered building. The loch itself has a shallow entrance, so care must be taken to navigate the channel properly. Once inside, there's plenty of room to anchor amongst the moored boats, the first of which we saw was this westerly discus. When we dropped anchor, the wind was blowing around 20 knots, but later that evening it dropped away to nothing and we had a really peaceful night.
It's Tuesday the 18th of June. We're just leaving Loch Gire, which was a very nice overnight anchorage. We had a really quiet night. So we're on passage now up to Inveraray. We've got the real skipper on the helm, dodging the pot markers.
We spotted many grand buildings on the banks of the loch as we journeyed north. We eventually reached the Mynard Narrows, which has a choice of 3 channels. There was quite a lot written about this in the pilot book, but in reality we chose the centre channel and hardly had to change course at all. It was a shame to see a quarry on the banks of the loch, which had left quite a scar on the landscape. With the wind from the north, this yacht was able to sail south down the loch without any problem. We of course just motor sailed into the wind. We eventually got our first sight of Inveraray in the distance, and I was quite surprised as it didn't seem to be a very big town at all. One of our pontoon neighbours at Tarbert Marina had heard that there were 4 new mooring buoys available at Inveraray, and he was quite right. There are 2 either side of the pier, and at £10 a night they were pretty good value. We noticed there was a slipway at the end of the pier, so we blew up the dinghy and went ashore to explore. We passed the famous Inveraray jail, and we found many good eating places as well. It also gave us the opportunity to take a couple of nice pictures of Magic Hawk.
It's Wednesday the 19th of June. We're just leaving Inveraray, but before we go back down Loch Fyne, we are going to go the extra 4 miles up to Cairndow, which is almost at the top. So we've got the real skipper on the helm this morning, so we should get there in record time.
As we approached Cairndow, we were surprised to see what looked like a distribution centre on the banks of the loch. It seemed like a strange place to locate it, really.
Well, this is it, the very top of Loch Fyne. Can't go any further. And over there we've got the village of Cairndow. It's 5 to 3 in the afternoon. We're heading south again now down Loch Fyne. In fact, we're just going through the Mynard Narrows again. Weather forecast today was a bit weird really, because it was supposed to be northwest 2 to 4. So I thought, well, okay, we'll probably get a decent sail down Loch Fyne today. The reality is it's actually been southeast 4 to 5. So again, it's been absolutely on the nose. We couldn't actually get any closer. It's dead on the nose. And whichever bend you turn in the loch, it's always on the nose. So yeah, best laid plans and all that. So we've just got to go with it and use the iron sail today.
This beacon at the Mynard Narrows marks a large dangerous rock, but we were soon passing more spectacular buildings on the side of the loch and the famous Loch Fyne fishing boats. There's also a huge logging operation going on as well. We decided to have another night at anchor in Loch Gare, so we navigated around the headland, through the entrance and into the loch. We anchored on the same side of the loch as the big house, and not too far off the westerly discus that we found previously. There was another visitor who was at anchor in the loch, and we also were intrigued by this quite nice boat which just needed a little TLC.
It's Thursday the 20th of June, it's 12:05, just gone midday. We're just leaving Loch Ranza behind us. We had a very peaceful night at anchor in there. In fact, I couldn't believe it. It was somewhere between 9:30 and 9:45 when I woke up this morning. So we've really caught up on some sleep. We've just weighed the anchor. There's mud everywhere. It's a very muddy anchorage, which is good because it's very good holding. But it does get everywhere once you bring the anchor and the chain up. So we're going to have to do a bit of cleaning on that, I think. Apart from that, we are now on the way down to Tarbert, restock on some provisions and have a nice shower. So that's the plan. It's a really horrible, miserable day. Approaching the Otter Ferry beacon now that guards the Otter Spit.
For around about an hour we had noticed a yacht similar in size to Magic Hawk slowly gaining on us from astern. It was around about a 34-foot Moody and it was called Piero, but he was really thrashing his engine because he really wanted to get ahead of us, and he eventually did so and went across our bow. He was obviously in a hurry to get somewhere. I've been trying all year to get a decent photograph of a gannet. Well, this was my best effort, but unfortunately it was flying away from me and not towards me. Once back in Tarbert Marina, I was lucky enough to meet Rob Henshaws, who was our pontoon neighbour. Rob's home cruising ground was the east coast of England, but he was circumnavigating Great Britain in his westerly Centaur rag trade. Rob's wife Emma had joined him for some of the Scottish legs of his trip, and I can tell you that he did complete the circumnavigation, and without going through the Caledonian Canal he went over the top of Scotland, so a fantastic achievement. Well done, Rob.
It's Sunday the 23rd of June. We're just leaving Tarbert. We're going to sort of head back up to our base at Holy Loch, but we'll probably call on the way at Loch Ranza and have a night in there. We fancy that. So it'll just break the journey, and well, there's no rush, is there? We're retired, so hey. There we go. It's a bit of a fair day. Not a lot going on with the weather. Sort of 2 to 4 is the forecast, but it's quite warm and very pleasant. So there we go. Well, there we go, we're under sail, sailing out to Loch Fyne. Got a bit of a problem really, well not really a problem, but a strange thing. We seem to have true wind speed on the instrument, but no direction, it's just pointing astern, the needle. When we go to apparent, it shows the apparent wind direction but no speed. So from the last time we sailed, something's gone awry somewhere, maybe a bit of corrosion somewhere, I'm not sure. So we'll have to investigate further. But for now, we know where we're going, so we'll enjoy the sail.
Well, it didn't take me too long to find the problem. The anemometer cups had stopped moving, so it wasn't actually transmitting any data.
Well, it's lunchtime here on Magic Hawk, but you can probably hear the diesel going in the background. We were about halfway out to Loch Fyne and the wind dropped to 0. So unfortunately we had to start the engine, but when we came to start the engine, the panel where the switch is was completely dead. No power at all when you turn the key. So there's probably something amiss behind it, maybe a bit of a corroded connection, probably due to good luck rather than any skill on my part. It did spring into life, and I managed to start the engine, so that's okay now. But once we get across to Ranza, we'll have to have the panel out and have a look around the back of it, see what's going on, clean everything up, and hope that fixes it. If not, yeah, I'll revert to plan B.
We picked up the very last visitor's mooring at the bottom of the loch, and to our surprise the weather cleared up to a beautiful afternoon. Absolutely fantastic blue skies, the surface of the water was really glassy, and later on that evening we were treated to quite a lovely sunset.
It's Monday the 24th of June, just leaving Loch Ranza, heading back now to Holy Loch. Proper skippers on the helm today, taking us out. A little bit overcast today, not as nice as yesterday at the moment, but it's quite warm and brightening up.
The wind initially was quite light as we went north of Arran, but as we progressed towards the south coast of Bute, the wind picked up and we were soon sailing along in about 20 knots of breeze. We were following a nice Marlow yacht which was being single-handed by a skipper, and although it was a bigger and more powerful yacht than Magic Hawk, we were keeping up pretty well really, considering we were under mainsail and the staysail. As we approached Tywod Point, the Calmac ferries, the Argyll and the Bute, were converging in front of us. They were actually a lot closer to Magic Hawk than it appears on the video. A short time later we were passed by a warship which displayed F239 on its bow. When I looked this up later, it was HMS Richmond, and she is a 31-year-old anti-submarine frigate and quite an impressive sight. When we arrived back at Holy Loch Marina, we were quite surprised to see a Calmac ferry berthed alongside one of the pontoons. Apparently it had been in for repair, but more applicable to this video, it was called the Loch Fyne. How about that?